Hello, Star Wars Indiana here with another episode of the Star Wars podcast, and today I will be covering the canonical story behind Boba Fett and part one of the Boba Fett episode or series, which will be considered episode 50. I'll be covering Boba Fett's story in chronological order in the current canon universe of Star Wars. So let's go. Boba Fett was the son of Jango Fett, clone son of Jango Fett, as created by the Kaminoans. He was created after Sifo Dyas requested the Republic Army, and he was part of Jango's payment for Jango's DNA being used for the clones. And all Jango really wanted was to have a son, which is why Boba Fett was created. Now, Boba Fett was discovered on Coruscant by Obi-Wan Kenobi shortly before the Clone Wars began, as Obi-Wan Kenobi tracked down Jango Fett after several assassination attempts against Senator Amidala by one of Jango Fett's bounty hunter allies. Now, when encountering Boba Fett, Jango and Boba quickly tried to leave the planet, but Obi-Wan pursued them, which incurred a short battle on a platform on the planet Kaminoa. Now, the battle succeeded with Boba and Jango leaving, and Boba helped defend his father during the battle by using the Slave One to try to shoot down Obi-Wan. They left the planet with a tracker being placed on Slave One, where they headed to Geonosis. On Geonosis, Boba Fett then witnessed the beginning of the Clone Wars as the Jedi attacked a Geonosian Coliseum in order to free Obi-Wan Kenobi, who had been captured by Count Dooku, Anakin Skywalker, and Padme Amidala. During this battle, Boba Fett witnessed as his father, Jango, was decapitated by Mace Windu. Shortly after that, during the Clone Wars, Boba Fett would then pursue Mace Windu out of rage and revenge, hiring several bounty hunters, including Aurra Sing, to help him hunt down Mace Windu. He would end up joining a group of clone cadets that went aboard Mace Windu's ship, the Endurance, in order to try to kill him. While on the ship, Boba separated from the main group to set a trap at the door of Mace Windu's cabin. Unfortunately for Boba, the trap would not set on Mace Windu, as a clone entered before Mace did, killing the clone instead. Instead, Boba decided to sabotage the ship, causing it to crash down on a nearby planet. Mace Windu would survive the crash and would go search for the remaining crew with Anakin. During that time, Boba and Aurra Sing and the other bounty hunters with the group went searching for the survivors, where they picked up three individuals as hostages. They picked up Commander Pons, Admiral Killian, I believe, and another naval officer. After that, they shortly sent a message out to the Republic Army about the hostages, asking for Windu to turn himself over. As a warning, Aurra Sing tried forcing Boba to kill Commander Pons. However, Boba would not go through with it, so Aurra Sing ended up killing Commander Pons herself. But Boba did still witness this. The group of bounty hunters then head towards Florm, where they sought refuge with Hondo. On the planet, they were pursued by Ahsoka and Plo Koon, who were able to rescue the hostages and Boba was then sent to prison for the assassination attempt against um, Mace Windu. While in prison, he ended up encountering Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, Obi-Wan Kenobi was disguised as Rako Hardeen, so he would not have known that he actually encountered Obi-Wan Kenobi. But while there, uh, Obi-Wan Kenobi, disguised as Rako Hardeen, got in a quick fight with Boba, where the fight was broken up with Bossk. After that, he ended up getting out of prison. After he got out of prison, he decided to take up uh, his father's career as a bounty hunter, where he formed his own bounty hunting syndicate. In the syndicate, one of his first missions was with a group of bounty hunters to go to the planet Corzite to defend a uh, package being sent to one of the local lords. Uh, be- on Before heading to Corzite, one of the members of his group was killed by Asajj Ventress in a fight, so Boba forced Asajj Ventress to join the group in order to pay back for the death of the bounty hunting individual who was killed. Now, because he allowed Ventress on it, the mission ended up failing as most of the bounty hunters were thrown off the ship, and then Asajj Ventress ended up uh, feeling sympathy for the cargo, which was a young princess being sent to the local lord. And Boba was then placed in the chest in place of Pluto Sadi, who was the cargo being sent to the lord. And this would end up tainting his prestige for a little while, making it harder to get some jobs. However, he was able to pursue and continue as a bounty hunter with the bounty hunting syndicate he had formed. Later in the Clone War, he was approached by a Jedi named Quinlan Vos, who was searching for some information on Ventress. Vos ended up failing whatever mission he went on, and Ventress came back to Boba searching for some help from his bounty hunting syndicate. She agreed to pay him $250,000 for help in order to try to get Vos back. But during the mission, Count Dooku swiftly was able to defeat the group. However, Boba and most of the bounty hunters were able to survive the encounter. Over the next 20 or so years, Boba will gain the uh, reputation of being one of the deadliest bounty hunters in the galaxy by the time of the Galactic Civil War. Shortly before the Battle of Yavin, shortly before the Battle of Yavin, sorry, confused on the timeline. Anyway, shortly before the Battle of Yavin, Boba Fett accompanied Jabba the Hutt approached Han Solo about the money he was used. In the ensuing months after the Battle of Yavin occurred, Boba was approached by Vader at Jabba's palace, where he was tasked with looking for the boy who accompanied Obi-Wan before he died. In searching for this, Boba would encounter several Rodians and Jawas and moisture farmers looking for information on the boy. However, most of these paths proved fruitless, and he ended up killing most of the individuals he encountered. However, he ended up coming up on Chalmun's Cantina, where Obi-Wan and Luke had one of their last encounters before leaving the planet. Here he encountered Hare, who did not really know anything about the boy. However, while talking with some of the people at the bar, a young moisture farmer tried leaving quickly, and Boba caught on to him. Boba then interrogated the boy in the cantina and killed him after receiving the necessary information. After receiving the information he got, Boba proceeded on to Kenobi's old homestead. There he ended up finding Luke Skywalker, who had recently arrived at the homestead himself to find some of Ben's old belongings, and Boba Fett ambushed him, trying to with a um, flash grenade, which blinded Luke Skywalker. However, Luke Skywalker is still able to fight off Boba Fett in a scuffle using his lightsaber and other means. Boba Fett was able to glean something, however, as one thing he did get out of the encounter with Luke Skywalker was his name. He then took this information back to Darth Vader, who was disappointed in the fact he didn't actually capture the boy, but unknowingly, Boba Fett gave him the name of his son and taught Vader that he actually had a son. 4 years later, Boba was again hired by Vader to search down Han Solo, where Boba Fett and several other bounty hunters, including Bossk, 4-LOM, Zuckuss, and IG-88, and Dengar, all went to the Executor to get this information. Now, Boba Fett, after receiving the mission from Vader aboard the Executor, was able to track down that the Millennium Falcon was by the trash chute of the Executor and followed them to Cloud City. At Cloud City, Boba Fett basically gave the information to Vader about them going to Cloud City, where they got there before the Millennium Falcon did. By getting there before the Millennium Falcon did, they were able to surprise them and set up a trap and several possibilities and plan out some stuff with Lando Calrissian, who owned Cloud City. What they decided upon was carbon freezing Han Solo so that they could take him back, so that Boba could take him back to Jabba for money. If the carbon freezing was to fail, Vader planned on paying him back in full for whatever Jabba would have paid Boba through the monetary means of the Empire. However, the carbon freezing was successful as a test for a trap for Luke Skywalker, and Boba then proceeded to take the carbon frozen Han Solo back to his ship in order to take to Jabba the Hutt. There, Boba helped to guard the frozen Han Solo and Carbonite at Jabba's palace when the rebels came to get carbon frozen Han Solo back. Now, upon this, Luke Skywalker ended up killing the Rancor after, and then Leia also unfroze Han. Han and Luke and Chewie were then taken to the Sarlacc pit to be killed, and Boba Fett came with the Jabba's sail barge on one of the skiffs floating around it to help defend and ensure the execution went correctly. However, the execution did not go correctly, and Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Lando, and Chewie were able to successfully fight back. During the fight, Boba Fett ended up being shot by blind Han Solo and being sent into the Sarlacc pit. It is possible that Boba Fett escaped, as some of his armor was apparently found outside the Sarlacc at some point and being sold on the market. We do not know officially whether or not Boba Fett died. This is really all the information we have on his current story in canon. If his story ever expands or changes, I plan on covering it more. Boba Fett's a really cool character, and I really like him. I really wish he had more story in canon. He could get his own comic series or movie or something. I'm sure we'll see it eventually. But thanks for listening to part 1 of the Boba Fett series. I don't know when I'll put part 2 out, but I will put it out eventually, and it will be on the Legends information outside of canon. Thanks for listening. Star Wars Indiana signing out.